Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, text number 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan Tyajanti antikalevaram Tam tam evaiti konteya Siddharthat bhava bhavitaha Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan Tyajanti antikalevaram Tam tam evaiti konteya Siddharthat bhava bhavitaha
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Tyajantyanti kalevaram
Tyajanti kalevaram Tam tam evaiti konteya Siddharthat bhava bhavitaha Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam Tyajanti kalevaram Tam tam evaiti konteya Siddharthat bhava bhavitaha. Tami. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam Tyajanti kalevaram Tam tam evaiti konteya Siddharthat bhava bhavitaha. Yam yam, whatever. Va'api, at all. Smaran, remembering. Bhavam, nature. Tyajati, gives up. Ante, at the end. Kalevaram, this body. Tam tam, similar. Eva, certainly. Ati, gets. Kondeya, O son of Kunti. Sada, always. Tat, that. Bhava, state of being. Bhavitaha, remembering. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami to the Prabhupada. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Purport. Process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. Person who at the end of his life quits his body, thinking of Krishna, attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaj Bharat, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. And so in his next life, he was transferred to the body of a deer. Although as a deer, he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life creates the next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one to be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Therefore, chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajanti antikalevaram tam tamai vaiti konteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharne. As always, Prabhupada is recommending that we chant Hare Krishna. Seems quite simple, because it is simple. Of course, because we're in the material concept of life, we make things much more complicated than they actually are. Because, first of all, people don't believe in the next life. So why would you prepare something for something you don't believe in? People are thinking that this life is all in all, and that after this life, everything is zero. Or they have other conceptions of life which are equally as not very intelligent. Several people, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that they're not acting very intelligently. Etam drishtim avashtavya nashtatmano nabudaya prabhayuka karmana shaye jagatohita. Etam drishtim, because they have no vision. In other words, Krishna consciousness is meant to give us a vision. Everyone has a vision, but they don't necessarily have a Krishna conscious vision. And what is that Krishna conscious vision? Asatyama pratishtante jagarahora anishram aparashparam samvidyam kimayakama haidukam. They say, namely those who are asuras, who Krishna says they don't know what's to be done and what's not to be done. Pravitim cha navritim cha jana navidor asura nisocham napichachara nasatyam teshu vidyate. Those who are asuras, they don't know what is pravritim, what you're supposed to be doing, nor nivritim, what you're not supposed to be doing. If you go on the street and ask people, what are you supposed to be doing? Inevitably, their answer is, they're supposed to be making money. That's the prime necessity of life, to make money for sense gratification. What does education mean? Education means to qualify yourself to get a job so you can make money, and so you can buy a house and car and a vacation and clothes and food. In other words, education is for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And if you tell them that actually education is meant to control your senses, they think you're, what do you mean control of my senses? I'm completely in control of my senses. That's why I'm working so hard to make all this money so I can eat and sleep. Otherwise, you can't do it. Therefore, you're not in control of your senses, and you're complaining that other people are. So the conception of controlling the senses, they don't know, because they don't know there's such a thing as lust or anger or greed. Or if they do know about it, then they think it's very good. If you're not lusty, then life is quite boring. Lust is love. It's enjoyment. And as far as greed, the greediest people are the people who are the most recognized in society. They're the people these are the leaders of society, the people who are most greedy. Those who have figured out a way of getting everyone's money without doing anything. And they want everyone, if you have 10 cents and they have $1 billion, they want your 10 cents. They're dreaming about getting your 10 cents. Although they have billions of dollars. Because there's, basically speaking, people are simply trying to imitate God. And they think you have 10 cents, that they're not completely, they don't have all wealth. They need your wealth too. Then they're closer to becoming the supreme. They don't know that there's such a thing as karma. They don't know that there's a God in control. They don't know how the universe has come about. They don't know who they are. They don't know where we're going after they leave this body. They assume, most of them are atheists, so they assume they just disappear. So they're going to struggle for the last moment until death to try to stay here. And maybe they figure they can reverse death by their money. Maybe when the Yamadutas come, they can offer them a bribe. We can give you some money and we can give you a nice Yamaduti. So they're thinking like that. But everyone has thought like that since time immemorial. Prabhupada said, whether one was Napoleon or Adolf Hitler or Winston Churchill, whoever it may be, all of them thought they were going to stay here forever and they were going to control the universe. And all of them left. They had to leave. At the time of when they were supposed to leave this planet, they couldn't demand, or they had no resources to prevent themselves from leaving their body, nor could they, by their conviction that there was no afterlife and that there is no such thing as karma, reverse where they went to. One time Prabhupada was emphasizing that one astrologer had told Prabhupada, or was predicting, that Nehru, the Prime Minister of India, who's reigning as the Prime Minister for many years after the independence of India, one astrologer said he was forced to take birth as one of 2 dogs in Sweden. Not only had to take birth of a dog, but he had to share his dog bowl with another dog. Could have been a Muslim dog, too. So though he worked so hard, Prabhupada said even at the time of his death, he was informed, you have 1 week to live. But he was thinking, I must carry on, because how can India live without me? I must, even the last week, when he was destined to die, he carried on with his work. Because he thought it was so indispensable. So India is still there. But the question is, where is Nehru? If he's actually 1 or 2 dogs in the house of someone in Sweden. Or as Prabhupada said, there is Napoleon. Every year they worship Napoleon's statue. They do a big thing. Because Napoleon's statue is in Paris and it's outside. So every year the cleaners come and they scrape off the bird stool. And then they have a ceremony and they offer the statue a garland. And then they go away and the birds come back and make their offerings. Everyone said, for all we know, one of those birds could be Napoleon. So he has a statue, but what good did it do Napoleon? So the question is, where are we going? We may have established some name or fame or accumulated some resources here. What do we think we accomplished? But everything will be judged at the time of leaving this body. All our accomplishments will be only so much is what we think of at the time of leaving this body. And where we go next. That's actually what results of our activities are. Others, like our mothers and fathers, may tell us, that you should do this, you should do that, and that will make them happy. But the question is, what will make you? If they'll make you into a dog, it's not very auspicious. They may be very, very happy because they don't care if you become a dog, because they don't really believe you're going to become a dog, nor do they know where they're going to go. They ever said, Andaya tandira pagiyamanas te pisha tantra rudam yavada. 99.9% of the people in this world are completely blind. It's like they're having this election in America. And I don't know if they take it seriously in Slovenia. People even care about who gets elected in America. But they're all blind, just like the leaders here are blind also. They're all in the same category. They don't know what the goal of life is or how to attain it. Instead, they're blind and they're leading other blind people. But the result is that simply accumulating more karma. Maybe amongst the blind people, there is one who's very ferocious and he's considered dangerous. And there's another who's very gentle and meek, and he's considered to be lovable. But they're both animals. And the result is they're simply leading into the jungle. Now you become a tiger, then you have a better chance of eating the deer. So whether you want to become a deer and get eaten by the tiger, whether you want to become a tiger and eat the deer, that's up to you. But either one of them is not very, you won't get any prasadam. Therefore, the process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is essential, not only for us, but for every living entity, especially human beings. Otherwise, the whole civilization, as Prabhupada said, which is meant to keep people in darkness, will soon come to an end with the next war he was talking about. Because that's the result, is that people will come. So by the accumulation of karma, simply it's going to lead to their destruction. We may blame it on this virus, we may believe it on the Illuminati, we may believe it. It's the cause of so many things, but actually the cause is people's sinful activities. And therefore sinful consciousness, which produces more sinful activities, which leads to the lower modes of nature, which leads to destruction. So if there's any hope for the civilization, it's not who's going to get elected and whether or not you can wear a mask or not or whatever it is. The only change will be is whether people are become conscious of Krishna or not. If they don't become conscious of Krishna, all we can expect is ever greater difficulty, either today or tomorrow. So I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? See if anyone has. We don't have our questionnaires anymore. Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna. I had a question in terms of the verse about how to attain the right consciousness at the time of death. We see the example of Bharat Maharaj, who was pretty much doing everything he could his whole life, and then at the end he kind of...
Yeah, stay away from zoos.
And then sometimes they say, because he had no devotee association, because he went into the forest, he kind of went off the right path. But then we see in his next birth as Jada Bharat, he also kind of completely isolated himself from everyone else.
Oh, you mean Jada Bharat?
Jada Bharat, yeah. I mean Jada Bharat, yes. Yeah. And he also didn't have any devotee association, but he kind of succeeded in his next life. So what's that kind of secret ingredient to have the right consciousness?
Well, it shows that at a certain point when you're actually determined to become Krishna conscious, then you always have devotee association because you're always thinking about Krishna and his devotees. Now, the problem wasn't only that Bharat Maharaj didn't have devotee association, because he was quite fixed up for a while. The problem is that somehow or another Krishna arranged it so that he met some deer, and who knows what the karma he had with that deer was. But this is an example. Out of all, since time immemorial, Srimad Bhagavatam is picking out this example, not because it doesn't like Bharat Maharaj. It's because it's for caution. It was an example given to us so we can become cautious, so that we don't become complacent, even when we become so-called highly Krishna conscious. But it doesn't happen very often. Generally speaking, when someone comes to the platform, as Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, if you come to the Madhyamadikari platform, actually Nishta, you don't fall down. I'll give you the exact words here. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed with the literatures of devotional service and has attained the firm faith, stage of firm faith is called a first-class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class of those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scriptures, but automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best cause. so in good faith have taken it up. Thus they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity trying to follow. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but one in the second class does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down. One in the first class will surely make progress, achieve the result in the end. As far as the third class person in Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these third class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency towards karma yoga and jnana yoga. Sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of karma yoga and jnana yoga is vanquished, they become second class or first class persons in Krishna consciousness. So, and that's faith. There's first class, second, third, and third class in faith. And that's later on explained in more detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Prabhupada says there's also first class, second, third class by first class attachment, second class attachment, third class attachment are all explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. So attachment is a different story. And Bharat Maharaj, it's being described not by faith, but by attachment. He was on Baba really means by attachment. Faith means by conviction to follow the process. So in the second chapter, the third chapter of Nectar of Devotion, it explains the qualifications of first class by faith. That they have knowledge of the revealed scriptures, they have conviction that Krishna is the goal of life, they have, etc., etc. And the second class person doesn't have, as explained here, also doesn't have such knowledge of the scripture, therefore sometimes they can be defeated in arguments with others. But by attachment, one is actually experiencing Krishna consciousness. Although it says that Odao Shara Sada Sangha, that devotional service is the development of faith, but what's actually being described as attachment to Krishna. One who's in Baba, then he's feeling ecstasy all the time, transcendental pleasure. So Bharat Maharaj was at the beginning of Baba, and no one falls down from that except for Bharat Maharaj. They put one case, and that's what they put in the Bhagavatam. Just as a warning, because maybe once every time immemorial someone falls down as an exceptional case. But then he quickly went back to Godhead, anyhow. Quickly became perfect. Maybe Krishna sent the deer just so we can have an example. Who must have been a really cute deer. Anything else? Yes.
I was yesterday speaking to a devotee who was quite disappointed with relationships and everything through decades of being in. He was in ISKCON, I don't know for how long. But then I was trying to say that in Bhagavatam, there is, for example, there are Chitraketu and there is Bharat Maharaj, and neither went to Krishna with a whole lot of women, Chitraketu doing his Sankirtan party with dancers and everything, and he didn't go to Krishna in that body. Neither did Bharat Maharaj with all the opulence. So what that means for us, I mean, what
do you have such opulence you're worried about?
No. but I mean, it's obvious. You cannot go to Krishna without being completely disappointed. If you are such an idiot that you have to be disappointed, that you have some hope.
Bharat Maharaj doesn't seem like a good example of what you're talking about, because he renounced it and went into the forest. And then we have so many other examples. It's not that Dhruva Maharaj, he realized Krishna being surrounded by ladies. He was in the forest also, meditating through great austerity. Still, Yudhisthira Maharaj, although he had great opulence, still he was a perfect devotee of Krishna. So was Sudama Brahman, who met Krishna in Dwarka. He had great opulence, but he became fully Krishna conscious. So great opulence is not an impediment if it's utilized in Krishna service. You have Pundarika Vidyanidhi, who was greatly opulent, but also a great devotee of Krishna. If you realize everything belongs to Krishna, then you never feel like it belongs to you. And if you think one penny belongs to you, then you're a mind. If you think everything belongs to Krishna, then it's no impediment utilizing things in Krishna's service, whatever he gives you. Otherwise, Brahma, he owns the whole universe. But he goes back to God. He's thinking of Krishna all the time. Okay, anything else? Thank you very much. Grandaraj Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.